What if I told you the owl isn't just another monster in 99 Nights in the Forest, but a teaser for something far more dangerous that's coming to the game very soon? Something the cultists might already be trying to awaken. But to understand what's really going on, we need to start with one question. Who or what is the owl? We all know where the deer comes from. It's based on the Wendigo, a scary legend from North America about people who become monsters because of hunger, greed. But the owl? It's different. It doesn't act like the other creatures in the game. You won't see it charging at you right away like the deer or the cultists. Instead, it appears at night, usually far from safety of your camp. It lands nearby and just stands there, watching. If you move around too much, it reacts instantly. If you freeze and stay perfectly still, it may simply take off and vanish into the night sky. This isn't how a brainless monster hunts. There's something about its behavior that feels planned, like it's choosing its moment on purpose. It's almost like the owl is keeping track of you, deciding when to step in and when to stay away. It's not wandering the forest by accident. It's here for a reason. And if you can figure out that reason, we might just uncover one of the forest's darkest secrets. Something the game hasn't told us outright. It has been hiding in plain sight. In the broken down lab where we think the deer was created, there is something most players don't notice right away. It's not just one strapped down table for experiments. There are two. If one table was for the deer, then what was the second one for? Could it have been for the owl? It makes sense when you think about it. The deer seems to have some connection to the missing children in the forest, like it's trying to protect or guard them. But the owl? That's not its role at all. The owl feels like it was made for one purpose: to hunt. Not to feed, not to protect, to track down anything that escaped and force it back into the lab's control. That might be why it's the only creature in the entire game that the deer actually runs away from. It was built to be faster, sharper, and way more dangerous than the deer could ever be. When the lab collapsed, the deer stayed away in the forest with the children. But the owl? It didn't just disappear. It kept following its original programming. It appears at the most important moments, keeps watching anything near the specimens, and makes sure nothing and no one escapes the forest's borders. And here's where things get even more interesting. The game says it's based on a true story. If the deer is inspired by the Wendigo from American folklore, then what about the owl? Could it be based on a legend too? After some digging, I found something that might just connect the owl to one of the creepiest folklore stories ever told. Before we get into that though, if you've been enjoying this video so far, make sure you give it a like, it helps a lot, and subscribe for more content like this. Also, if you have any theories of your own, make sure to comment them down below. Back in 1976, something strange happened in the quiet village of Maunan, England. Two sisters, June and Vicky, were visiting the area with their family when they looked up at the church tower and froze. Perched high above them was a huge owl-like creature. It wasn't just a bird, it was much bigger. They said it had massive wings, glowing red eyes, and long sharp talons. Its body looked almost human, but with feathers and a beak. The sight was so terrifying that the girls refused to go anywhere near the church again. And this wasn't just a one-time thing. A few months later, two teenage girls, who didn't even know about the first sighting, claimed they saw the exact same creature. Same glowing eyes, same enormous wings, same way of silently watching before disappearing without a sound. People started calling it the Owl Man. Here's the creepy part though. The Owl Man never attacked anyone. It didn't chase, it didn't try to hurt people. It would simply appear, stare for a while, and then vanish, as if it had never been there at all. And that's exactly what makes it feel so similar to the owl in 99 Nights in the Forest. As we said, the deer in the game is based on the Wendigo, a creepy legend from American folklore about people turning into monsters because of hunger and greed. But the Owl Man? That's a legend from England, all the way across the ocean, far from the setting of 99 Nights in the Forest. So, why would a game that clearly takes place in North America include a creature from the other side of the world? It feels strange, right? Unless the owl in the game isn't just based on the English Owl Man. Maybe it's connected to another legend, one much closer to home, a creature that people in the United States have been talking about for decades. Some even call it the American Owl Man, but it has its own name. It's known as the Mothman. In the small town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, something strange began happening in 1966. People started reporting sightings of a mysterious creature, a huge winged humanoid with glowing red eyes that seemed to stare right into you. Witnesses described it as taller than a person, with giant wings that could spread wider than a car, and some even said it could fly faster than any bird they'd ever seen. But here's the weird part. Just like the Owlman in England, the Mothman never attacked anyone. It would simply appear, often at night, watch him from a distance, before taking off into the darkness. Then people noticed the creepy pattern. The Mothman seemed to show up right before something bad happened. The most famous example? On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge, which connected Point Pleasant to Ohio, suddenly collapsed during rush hour, and after that tragic day, all Mothman sightings stopped. Because of this, people began calling the Mothman a harbinger of doom, a creature that doesn't cause a disaster, but appears as a warning that one is coming. Almost like it's trying to tell people, get out while you can. What if the owl in the game is meant to work the same way? Not just as a monster, but a symbol that something far, far worse is coming. And if you've spent time exploring the forest, you've probably seen the cultists. We know they aren't just obsessed with the deer. They're always gathered around strange altars, performing dark rituals. What if those rituals aren't meant for the deer at all? What if the cultists are trying to bring something else into the forest? Something the lab started creating, but never finished. Something even the deer would be terrified of. If that's the case, then maybe every time the game says the owl has woken up, it's more than just a random spawn message. Maybe it means the cultists are getting closer to finishing their goal. And the owl, just like the Mothman, is showing up because it knows what's about to be unleashed, and it's making sure we notice too. Here's something that makes this even more interesting though. In the game, after the owl flies away, it may drop a feather. You can trade that feather for gas canisters, which is already pretty useful for survival. But in real British folklore, feathers, especially owl feathers, can mean something much darker. They've been seen as signs of bad luck, omens of death, or a final warning before something terrible happens. It's the kind of thing that, if you found it on your doorstep in old times, would make people panic. So, what if the owl's feather in the game is more than just an item you can trade? What if it's the owl's way of leaving a mark, a sign that it's seen you, judged you, and decided you won't survive what's coming next? If the Wendigo-inspired deer is the forest's hunter, then the owl is its messenger. So next time you see the words "the owl has woken up," remember, it might not be after you, it might be warning you that the forest's true nightmare is almost here.